Hey everybody, I'm David. Welcome to Digital Doxology. Today I'm going to be giving you a brief tour of some of my equipment that I use here in my home studio and telling you a little bit about it. I'm not going to get into great depth on the equipment, but I'm going to kind of give you an overview of everything. And then I'm going to share a quick tip of something that I learned that helps me when I'm recording on my Tascam digital porta studio here. This is a new piece of equipment that I just recently acquired. It's a dp-24sd digital porta studio, 24 track with an SD card, no CD burner. So let's start first and go through all the equipment that I have. The first thing that I have here is my workstation. This is my Korg Kronos 73 key workstation. I bought this about 4 years ago, and unfortunately I really haven't been able to dive into it because I've been so busy teaching for the last 4 years. It'll do so much, and I've realized after I got it, like, oh my goodness, this thing just does more than I can learn right now. And so I know how to use most of the patches and stuff. I love the key bed. That was one of the things that really attracted me to the Korg Kronos. I've tried other keys, other keyboards, and this one just had the nicest key bed that I really liked. I've heard people comment that it's mushy, but I don't find it's mushy. Love that. And the decay, just really cool. That's the Berlin grand piano. That is what comes on first when you power it up. And so I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about the Kronos. If at any time you have a question about one of the pieces of gear that I use or I'm talking about, please don't hesitate. Put the questions in the comments below and I will be happy to try and answer it if I can. And oh, before I forget, if you like this video, please hit the like button, subscribe, and ring that little bell so that you'll be notified when I put out more videos in the future, and I will. I even have a new piece of gear that's coming in that I don't have back here, but I'm getting ready for it. I don't want to say a lot about it, but it goes back to, I will say it goes back to my first keyboards that I ever bought, which were Roland's. And so that's all I'm going to say about it right now. Actually, my first keyboard that I ever bought was a Rhodes Mark II, Fender Rhodes Mark II, and it was a beast. It weighed, I don't know, 70 pounds, 80 pounds, had the legs on it and everything. And I just, like an idiot, I sold it a few years. I had it from about 1980 to 1985 and sold it because it was so big, you know, carrying it around and everything. And I wished I could have hung on to it, but it just had it had that Rhodes sound, and I know that they do have the Rhodes sound on here too. It's close, it's very close. And so everything that I do musically, I start with on the workstation. I either use the standard sounds, sometimes I use the combis, and those can get real complex, but I really love the combis. And then once in a while I'll get into the sequencer and actually sequence something out on the sequencer. It has a 16-track sequencer. It'll also record sound. It has an audio recording ability, and I haven't even dived into that. That's what I use the Tascam for. So I make all the music on the Korg, then it goes to the Tascam. A few years ago, I bought a smaller Tascam, a DP3, I think it was, with the CD burner. And I used it for about 7 years. But it was only an 8-track. And I always wanted to have more real estate to be able to do more sounds and more layering. So this one actually is a 24-track, but when it comes to keyboards, you only really have about, because a keyboard, some of you will know this, when you record a keyboard, you have to have 2 inputs, right and left. And so that takes up 2 channels. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, So 6 layers, and then 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I can do 12 layers. I could actually do more if I wanted to bounce them over to another track and a virtual track. But I can do up to 12 layers without any bouncing, and I just love that. So when I use this, maybe I will lay down a piano track on track 1 and 2, or a drum track and piano track using a combi, and I'll put it on the first 2 channels. Then maybe on the next channels, I'll put the bass guitar, using the keyboard for the bass. Then a flute. And then I could even get my guitar. I have a guitar in the corner of my Ovation that I can pull out and plug in. The Tascam has an input in the back that has the guitar input. You can switch it over to mic or guitar. And I believe that's input H. It's in the back. And so that was another neat thing that I liked about this. Then when I get through and I'm done recording, this is a song I was just recording yesterday. So I only have the first 2 tracks. Then I might go through and put a piano sound. I just like to play around and noodle around, and I get my ideas, and I'm always trying to, as soon as I get my ideas, I'll turn this thing on so it's recording my ideas. Sometimes if I don't like them, I'll just throw them away or erase over them. So once everything is recorded on the Tascam and I get all the layers, then there's a button over here where I can hit mastering, mix down and mastering. So when I'm ready, I push the mix down and mastering button, and then it will go into a mix down mode. But it's not ready to go into a mix down mode because I don't have it on, I don't have the in and out point set. But if I did, then it would be ready. That's another video too. There are a lot of videos. If you know somebody that has one of these and wants to find out more, there's lots of great videos on YouTube that you can look up that'll show you all the intricacies, more than what I can get into right here. But again, if you have a question about one of them, I'll try to answer it. Put it in the comments and I'll see if I can help answer that question. Or I may even do a video and show you how to do that on there. Once I get it mixed and mastered and everything on here, then here's what I really love about it. It goes right into my laptop. And this was a song that I recorded a couple days ago. And then I just dumped it into Audacity. I really like Audacity because it's a pretty powerful little sound processing program. It'll do a lot of things, and it's free. And so my workstation goes to the recorder. When I get everything recorded and mastered and finalized up there, then it goes to my laptop. I do any additional little tweaking, turn it into an MP3, and then flash it over to my desktop, which is behind me over here on my iMac. And then I can put the video that I used, the videos from ArtGrid. And I take the videos and mix them in and edit them to match the music. So it's a little bit of a process. Key the workstation to the recorder, recorder to the laptop, laptop to the desktop. I've gotten it down to where I can do a whole song and probably from start to finish. If I have the ideas in my head, I could probably do a whole song in a couple hours. But sometimes I take a little while, a week, get everything worked out. And then at the end of the week, I get everything finalized and mastered and then put a song out. A few months ago, back in June, Tascam announced a great sale on the digital Portastudios, the 24 and the 32. And this was actually something I looked at a few years back when I bought the smaller one. And I wanted it then, but at the time I think they were like $7.99. But now they were half of that. So I couldn't pass it up. I went ahead and bought one of these, and I'm really glad I did. It has its own signal processing. It has special effects. It has a lot of onboard effects that you can use. The reverb and all the other processing, the EQs, and of course the mastering and mix down modes are really handy to have those. One of the things I like to do when I'm recording, I like to know, because I have so many tracks, I was like, for a while, I was kind of frustrated because I couldn't remember what track had what instrument on. I'm usually pretty good about doing piano on track 1 and 2, bass on 3 and 4, and so on. When it came time to master, I wouldn't remember what instrument was on which track. And of course, when you're mastering, you want to adjust the faders in and out and so on. And I had this crazy idea, and it worked out really well. I bought this magnetic tape. This is 1-inch magnetic tape that I got from Amazon. Dry erase magnetic tape. 25 feet, 1 inch wide, and the company that makes it, let's see if I can find them, XBET magnet, X-BET magnet, flexible magnetic tape with dry erase backing. And of course I bought some dry erase markers, different colors, and then you can cut the tape into small squares and it sticks right on the front of the Tascam. Isn't that slick? So, and you can take them off really easy, put them somewhere else, just peel them off, stick them on the side somewhere. I've got a couple of them already made for single tracks here. I've got piano, pads, strings, bass, percussion. I even have one over here for guitar and vocals. And it's really nice. It's kind of a nice little way to stay organized and remember what sounds are on what channels. And they stick right to the front here of the Tascam, because this part of the Tascam here is metal. And I did see a few folks on other channels who had done kind of the same thing, but they used masking tape. And I'm like, I didn't want to use masking tape because sometimes that stuff can get real nasty. So this works really well. It comes right off. And even better, if you decide you want to switch instruments around to a different track, you can put them on different tracks that way. If you decide, well, I want to put the piano on that track and maybe bass on a different track, you can write them on there and then leave them on there. So a little tip for you if you use one of these or any of the other recorders that have these. I'm kind of an old school recorder guy. Years ago, and some of you might remember this. Some of you are probably too young, but some of you are probably too young to remember this. But back when I first started recording music, I was about 16 years old and I had my guitar. I knew about 8 or 10 chords, and I would start playing my song and writing them down on a notepad and putting the chords above the words. G minor, G major, D, A seventh, A minor. And then when it came time to record my song, I would get one of those little boom boxes out with the cassette recorders. Remember those? And you had to push the play and record button at the same time. And that was my recorder that I used. That's how I started recording my music. With a boom box, with a built-in mic, cassette tape, play, record, and I would record my song and go back and listen to it. And then I upgraded a few years later. In 1985, I bought, what was it I bought? A Fostex 4-track cassette recorder that took metal tape. Ooh, that was a step up. Remember those? Fostex 4-track cassette recorder. It had 4 tracks. It had all the little knobs. You could adjust the EQ on every track and stuff. Really cool little piece of machinery, and it still works. And I gave it to my dad, and he still has it somewhere. And then I upgraded from that to my Roland VS880 that I still have. It's sitting under my desk right there. It still works. It has a 500 megabyte hard drive. 500 megabyte hard drive. Woo! That was big then. I bought that new in 1999, and I used it for about 15 years. It still works great. I did upgrade it from the original hard drive. I think when I bought it, originally it came with a 120 megabyte hard drive, and I upgraded it to the 500 megabyte hard drive. The reason I don't use it anymore, this one is so much faster. I can just go from this to this, and into my computer within minutes if I need to. The Roland VS880, it was a process. It had beautiful special effects. One of the greatest reverbs I ever heard was the Roland VS880 series reverbs that were built in. It came with a little expansion card that you could put in there. And the reverbs and special effects were beautiful. This is my basic setup that I use. My new piece of gear will come in hopefully the next day or two, and I'll show you that when it comes in. It's a smaller keyboard. It's going to be a 61 key and lighter. I want to have something available that I can use for live gigs. And this is like the Kronos. This one weighs, this is the 73 key, and it probably weighs about 40-50 pounds at least. It's a hefty little devil. It's not something you want to take and move around a lot. In fact, when I bought this 4 years ago, it's been in this spot ever since. I haven't moved it around a lot. It has a hard drive inside of it, 80 gig, I think it's an 80 gig hard drive inside of it, and I just didn't want any problems with it. But I do want something that I can move around that's a lot lighter, and I'll get to that when it comes in. All right, guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you ever have any questions about some things that I showed you, the Tascam 24sd, dp-24sd, which is also similar to the 32sd, which is the one that has 32 tracks. They're very similar. I'm still learning how to use this one, but if you have any questions, I'll either answer your questions, show you how to do it on a video, or direct you to somebody that I think can help you with it. There are lots of videos on these already, guys that have used these for quite a while and are pretty familiar with all the ins and outs and the workings of them. And if you ever have any questions about the Korg Kronos, by all means, put it in the comments section, let me know, and I'll try to answer it. If I can't answer it, I'll sure help you find somebody that can answer that question for you. It is a very complex piece of hardware, and I'm still learning and trying to figure out some of the things that it will do and be able to go in and program them. But hey, that's what's fun about it, right? This is David from Digital Doxology saying have a great day, have a great week, and be sure to hit the like button if you like this video, and don't forget to ring that bell. That way you'll be notified when I put out new videos and when they come out. All right, have a great day. Catch you later. Bye.